Today I came to talk to you a little bit about me, my company, and the revolutionary voting platform that we're developing. I don't want to date myself, but I turned 18 in the year 2000. I don't know how much you guys know about American politics and what happened in the year 2000, but it just so happened that my first election that I got to vote in was probably the most controversial election in United States history. It was contentious. George Bush had a bunch of lawyers and Al Gore had a bunch of lawyers. And George Bush's and their party actually got the Supreme Court to rule in favor of stopping the recount. That really didn't sit well with me. You know, at that point in time, I lost faith in my government. I lost faith in the democratic process. You know, my government stopped a recount. So it raised a lot of questions for me early on. And remember, this is my first election. So already I'm a little bit skeptical of the political process, and it really made a huge impression on me. I wasn't the only one that was skeptical. The whole country was skeptical. California took it a whole nother step further. And actually, they pointed the finger at electronic voting machines. He said, you know what, it's not the people that are the problem, it's the machines that we're using. So they decertified all their voting systems in California. There's a big belief still to this day in California, if you're voting electronically, it can't be trusted. They are actually starting to change their mind a little bit. In 2013, they just passed what's called Senate Bill 360, which allows California to start using government funds to explore open source voting platforms, to pilot those in elections. Cost is a big thing. I'm sure it is here as well, is that the elections can be pretty expensive. So they're looking for more cost-effective solutions and are really attracted to the idea of an open source voting platform. And they want it in. They called us up, they talked to us a little bit about what we were doing and invited us to join their association and really go to bat for them and to try to raise the integrity standards of voting systems that are used in the United States. I'm not the only one that doesn't necessarily trust the systems that are in place. A lot of people think that, you know, for a voting system to be trusted, the code should be open source. So there is an open source voting movement that's really kind of starting, especially out in California. And a lot of people now are looking to, are really starting to think, open their minds about potentially using an online voting system, as long as it would be open source. It's night and day when you think about the United States versus Norway. Our voter turnout this past election was the worst it has been in 72 years. Voter turnout hasn't been as bad in the United States since World War II. So we're in a lot of trouble. But you guys are definitely leading by example. When I was doing some additional research too, and I found that you guys actually have done online voting here, which was really exciting. I didn't know that. We have yet to really have a successful online voting pilot. As you can see the timeline here, obviously, that you guys are pretty familiar with this, and then in 2014 they terminated. These were some of the rumors that I heard.
Understand correctly that Follow My Vote is based on BitShare's vote, then you will actually have this assurance that the code that is running is the one that you think is running.
Yes, that's
like
actually
Bitcoin. Nobody can change the code and suddenly run a different version where he is a rich guy.
Right. So, to your point, you know, the system that we are using, we're partnering with BitShares. BitShares has developed a blockchain currency, a blockchain-based digital currency similar to Bitcoin. So in the same ways that you mentioned, you know, you can be assured that the code that you see on their GitHub repository is the code that is being ran by the delegates that are powering the network. They have a network of computers, 101 nodes, that actually take turns verifying every transaction that goes through the system. And all the code is put up and is public. Once every transaction is verified, it's actually stored in a permanent, irreversible way. So you can't actually hack the system. You can't change votes. You can't do any of that type of stuff. But good point. There are a lot of security vulnerabilities with the current way we vote, at least in the United States. So there are a lot of voting machines that are still in use today that have been proven to be vulnerable. Like Princeton did a study in like 2005, 2007 that showed with like 2 or 3 minutes worth of time and a little computer chip you can get from Radio Shack that you can hack a voting machine, a Diebold or Sequoia voting machine, and change thousands of votes without anyone being able to detect it whatsoever. So that can happen in the current system, and no one would be the wiser. The difference about blockchain technology is that everything is tracked. There's a paper trail. Every transaction that's ever made can be exposed, can be seen by everyone else in the system. So if someone does hack the system, people will find out, and that person, the trail leads right back to the person who did it. So it's almost a natural deterrent from someone actually trying to hack it because they're going to get caught. Where the current system right now, who knows how many people are hacking it? Who knows how many people are actually changing the votes? There's no way to tell. In my belief, online voting is actually, in my opinion, the most secure way that you can do voting. There are like I said, if you take our approach, everything is tracked. There's a digital paper trail everywhere you go. There's no way that you as a voter can cast a vote in an election, in a paper ballot election, and be able to confirm that your vote was actually cast and included in that ballot box. With online voting, you get transparency. Without online voting, you don't really get true transparency. We've developed a system that allows you as a voter to actually follow your vote into the ballot box and confirm that your vote was cast as intended and counted as cast. And so the fact that Norway pulled the plug on online voting means that they pulled the plug on transparency. I figured that you might have looked at online voting and saw that there is a way to gain transparency through online voting and be a little bit upset like this guy and the fact that they pulled the plug. I know there's at least a few of you out there that do know that. I was going to say I feel your pain. My government pulled the plug on me. This was me when they stopped the recount. I felt powerless. I felt like I didn't have a say in it. There was nothing that I could do about it. And I used that. That was like a little fire that just burned inside of me. It was something that I never let go. I held on to that flame and said, you know what? Someday, I'm going to find a way to make it right. I am going to find a way to make sure that one day I will have transparency and that I will be able to actually audit the results of my election. And in each election that goes by, I'll know when I see the report on my news channel and says this person won the election, I'll know that they won the election because I counted the votes myself. That's the power of online voting and using blockchain technology in order to gain transparency in the ballot box. Shortly after I started Follow My Vote, though, I ran into BitShares. And I learned about blockchain technology. I learned about how revolutionary that this was going to be. I learned that you can actually gain transparency into voting. And working with BitShares and Follow My Vote, we now have a way to make this idea a reality. The technology exists, when it comes to bringing transparency into your elections. And it is possible. It can be done if you guys want it. Like I said, we are looking, BitShares and Follow My Vote are looking for people that want to experiment, that want to work with us to develop proof of concepts that allow us to showcase our solution to the world, but actually helps people solve problems that they're dealing with. So I'll go ahead and start this 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 voting demo for you. I guess just take you through the system.
I'm actually really interested in this. I'd like to see a process diagram,
Yeah, yeah,
but I don't know about you guys.
sure. So a system can be designed in a way that protects the voter's identity and stores votes securely. And this is just the design that we've come up with. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this solves my problem. Like this would give me a way to count my vote, which was all I ever wanted, was to be able to count my vote. And if you can do it in this way, that has integrity and doesn't compromise my identity, I'm all for it. You know, I don't know, as you can see, you know, it's a solid design, and I don't know who would be against, you know, allowing someone, you know, I don't see the harm in allowing someone to count their vote. You know, I don't know how you could be against something like that, you know, if you do it in this way. Really appreciate all the questions and the engagement. This was very exciting.
Let me ask you one final question.
Sure.
Have you had an audience where you get this kind of question, or is it typically just people just accept your stuff at face value?
This has definitely been the most engaged audience I've had. And it's great. It allows me to really put my stuff up there and really prove myself. And so, like, I live for this kind of stuff, right? This is what I like. You know, this is when I feel alive. I get to put it all out there and you know, put myself out there. And I thank you for challenging me. I do appreciate it.